The Celestial Academy stood tall against the morning sky. Its white towers gleamed in the light of 3 suns. Today was the first day of the new school year. The most important school in the whole galaxy was opening its doors again. Gina Kim watched from a distance. Her small travel bag held everything she owned. Unlike the other new students, she came alone. No family, no friends, no servants carrying her things. The landing area buzzed with activity. Fancy ships dropped off important students. There were sons and daughters of galaxy leaders, rich business owners, and even alien royalty. Each arrival was grander than the last. A blue-skinned princess stepped out of a golden ship, surrounded by 20 guards. A boy with scales arrived with robots carrying his many bags. Everywhere, people shouted names and took pictures. No one noticed Gina. She walked past them all, her simple gray uniform already on. Her acceptance letter, crumpled from being read many times, was in her pocket. It had arrived just 3 days ago, a surprise even to her. Name and identification, said a board worker at the check-in desk. Gina Kim, Earth, human. She handed over her ID card. The worker looked at his screen, frowning. You're not on my list. Gina's heart beat faster. I have my acceptance letter. After scanning the letter, the worker called over his supervisor. They whispered while looking at their screens. There seems to be a mix-up, the supervisor said finally. But your test scores are impressive. The Academy I has approved your entry. She handed Gina a room key card. East Tower, room 512. Your roommate arrived yesterday. Gina nodded and walked away quickly before they could change their minds. The halls of the Academy were enormous. Ceiling panels showed moving images of stars and planets. Robots glided past, carrying supplies. Gina followed the signs to East Tower, keeping her head down. When she reached room 512, the door slid open automatically. Inside, a girl with long black hair was arranging clothes in a closet. She turned and smiled. Oh, you must be my roommate. I'm Mary. She bowed slightly. My family owns Kim Song Mining Corporation. We have operations in 12 star systems. She said this like it was normal to introduce yourself with your family's wealth. I'm Gina. Just Gina. She put her bag on the empty bed. Neri waited for more information. When none came, she asked, which planet are you from? What does your family do? Earth, Gina said. My family. They're not important. She began unpacking her few belongings. Neri looked confused but tried again. Are you excited about the welcome party tonight? Everyone who matters will be there. I can introduce you to my friends. Thanks, but I'm tired from the trip. I might rest instead. Oh. Neri seemed disappointed. Well, I need to finish getting ready. The daughter of the Centauri ambassador promised to save me a seat at her table. She disappeared into the bathroom. When Neri left for the party 2 hours later, wearing a sparkling dress, Gina finally relaxed. She was alone. She pulled up the room's window blinds and looked out at the sprawling campus below. Students from 100 different planets walked the paths. Some had extra arms, some had wings, and some didn't even look like people at all. Gina reached under her simple mattress and pulled out a small silver device. She pressed her thumb to it, and it glowed green. She whispered into it. Infiltration successful. Beginning phase 1. The device blinked 3 times and then went dark. Gina hit it again, lay back on her bed, and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow, classes would start. Tomorrow, her real work would begin. No one at the Celestial Academy knew who she really was, and that was exactly how it needed to stay. The first day of classes at Celestial Academy started with a loud bell. Gina woke up early and was already dressed when Neri finally got out of bed, looking tired from the party. You should have come, Neri said, yawning. The food was amazing. They had fruit from 20 different planets. Gina just smiled and checked her class schedule on her tablet. We should hurry. First class starts in 20 minutes. The hallways were filled with students rushing to class. Some flew above the crowd with wings or hover boots. Others moved on many legs or slithered along the floor. Humans were rare here. Gina counted only 7 among hundreds of aliens. Her first class was quantum engineering, taught by Professor Ta, an older Korean man with white hair and kind eyes. The classroom was huge, with seats for 300 students. Screens hung from the ceiling, showing complex equations. "Welcome, future leaders of the galaxy," Professor Ta said. His voice was soft, but reached every corner of the room. "Most of you will fail this class." Students looked at each other with worry. A blue-skinned boy in expensive clothes laughed. "My father donated the East Wing Library. I'm not going to fail." Professor Ta smiled. "Money cannot buy understanding of quantum mechanics, Mr. Hoon. Now let's begin with a test to see what you know." The screens filled with problems. Most students looked confused. Gina read each question carefully, then answered quickly. The problems were hard, but somehow familiar to her. When the time ended, Professor Ta checked the results. His eyebrows went up when he saw Gina's screen. "Miss Kim, perfect score." "Interesting." He looked at her with new interest. "Have we met before?" "No, sir," Gina said, looking down. "I just study a lot." The rest of the morning went the same way. In xenobiology, Gina knew all about alien life forms. In galactic history, she corrected the teacher about a war that happened 200 years ago. By lunchtime, other students were watching her. Hoon, the rich blue boy from quantum engineering, sat across from her in the eating hall. "Nobody gets perfect scores on the first day," he said. His voice was not friendly, especially not no-name humans from Earth. "I was lucky," Gina said, eating her food quickly. "There's no luck here," said a girl who sat down next to them. She had light purple skin and silver hair. "I'm Minji. I got in on scholarship. Everyone else's parents bought their way in." Hoon stood up, angry. "My scores were top level." "Sure they were," Minji said, rolling her eyes. "That's why you looked so confused in class." After Hoon left, Minji smiled at Gina. "Don't mind him. He's from the Blue Star system. They think they're better than everyone, especially humans." The afternoon classes were even harder. In applied physics, they had to fix an alien engine. No one could make it work. When it was Gina's turn, she looked at the engine and saw the problem right away. She moved 2 parts, connected a wire, and the engine hummed to life. The teacher, Professor Yuna, stared at her. "That's impossible. That engine design has stumped researchers for years." Gina stepped back, realizing her mistake. "I just tried something different," she said quickly. Later that night, alone in her room, while Mary was in the shower, Gina took out her hidden device again. "Academic cover maintaining well," she whispered. "Too well. Adjusting performance to avoid scrutiny." She put the device away just as Neri came out, talking about tomorrow's classes. Gina nodded and smiled, but her mind was elsewhere. She needed to be more careful. The last thing she wanted was attention. Yet she could feel eyes watching her already. Professor Ta, especially. Something about the way he looked at her made her think he suspected there was more to Gina Kim than a lucky, smart student from Earth. A month passed at Celestial Academy. Gina was careful to make small mistakes in her classes. She answered questions wrong sometimes. She worked slower on tests. She wanted to seem smart, but not too smart. One morning, a message appeared on every student's tablet. "Annual Combat Aptitude Assessment today. Attendance mandatory." Combat training. Why do we need that? Gina asked Minji at breakfast. Minji shrugged. "They say it's to keep us safe, but I think they're looking for future soldiers. The galaxy always needs more fighters." Students gathered in the huge training hall after breakfast. The room had soft mats on the floor and weapons on the walls. Robots stood in one corner, ready to fight students. Commander G, the head of Academy Security, stood in the center. She was tall with short gray hair and a face with many scars. "Today we test your ability to defend yourselves," she said. "All students must pass this test, no matter what you study here." The tests began. First, students fought training robots. Then they fought each other with soft weapons. Gina watched carefully, planning her strategy. "I'll fight at middle level," she thought. "Not too good, not too bad." When it was her turn to fight a robot, she moved just fast enough to win. The commander made notes on her tablet, looking bored. Then the paired fights began. Students were matched by size and species. Gina was paired with a human boy named Dadian. He was the top fighter in the academy, with muscles and a mean smile. "Begin," Commander G called. Dahian moved fast, trying to hit Gina with his training staff. She blocked easily, moving just enough to stay safe, but not showing her real skill. "Is this the best humans can do?" Dahian laughed. "Pathetic." On the next mat, a smaller student was fighting badly against a bigger opponent. The small student fell hard, crying out in pain. The bigger student didn't stop hitting. Commander G was busy watching another fight. No one was helping. Dahian laughed again. "Weaklings shouldn't be here." Something inside Gina snapped. She moved suddenly, much faster than before. Her staff hit Dahian's legs, making him fall. Before he could get up, she had the staff at his throat. The whole room went quiet. Dahian looked shocked. "That was lucky," he said, standing up. "Try again." This time, Dahian attacked with all his skill. But Gina was ready. She blocked every hit, moving like water. When she saw her chance, she hit him 3 times in 1 second. Legs, arm, chest. Dahian fell again, harder this time. Commander G was watching now, her eyes narrow. "Where did you learn to fight like that, Miss Kim?" Gina stepped back, realizing her mistake. "I took some classes on Earth." "Those weren't just classes," Commander G said. "That was military training. Special Forces level." "My cousin taught me," Gina said quickly. "He was in the Earth Defense Force." Commander G didn't look like she believed this, but she moved on to the next students. That night, Gina couldn't sleep. She felt eyes watching her room. When she got up for water, she noticed small things moved on her desk. Someone had searched her things. She checked her hidden device. It was still safe, but for how long? The next day, Gina went to the library. Using her student ID, she found a way into restricted files. She needed to work faster now. Her cover was at risk. After hours of searching, she found what she was looking for. Files about a secret research project. The title made her heart beat faster. Human Genetic Enhancement Project. This was why she was sent here. This was what she needed to find. As she read, her hands began to shake. The academy wasn't just teaching students. It was changing them, making them into weapons, and humans were their favorite test subjects. 2 weeks after the combat test, Gina noticed changes around her. Students who once ignored her now asked for help with homework. Teachers paid more attention to her answers. She was no longer invisible. "You're famous now," Minji told her as they walked to class. "The girl who beat Dadian. No one has done that in 2 years." Gina frowned. "I don't want to be famous." "Too late," Minji laughed. "Look, even the flying students are watching you." Above them, students with wings circled slowly, looking down at Gina. In class, Gina tried harder to blend in, but it was difficult. When problems were hard, other students turned to her for answers. Even Neri, her roommate, started to brag about living with the smartest human in school. After class one day, Minji invited Gina to her room to study. "My roommate is never here," Minji said as they sat down with their books. "She sleeps in her boyfriend's room." They worked on quantum equations for an hour. Then Minji looked at Gina with serious eyes. "Can I ask you something? Who are you really?" Gina's heart beat faster. "What do you mean?" "You're too smart, too skilled to be a normal student. And you're always watching everything, like you're looking for something. I'm just trying to do well in school, Gina said. Minji nodded, but didn't look convinced. If you ever need a friend, a real friend, I'm here. Something in Minji's voice made Gina think she could be trusted. But it was too dangerous. For now, she had to stay alone. The next day, Gina was called to the Academic Integrity Office. A panel of 5 teachers sat behind a long desk. In front of them stood Daehyun and another student, a tall boy with silver skin named Sung. Miss Kim, said the head teacher, these students say you have been cheating on your assignments. They have evidence. Daehyun smiled coldly. No human could score so high without cheating. Sung nodded. My father works for Galactic Intelligence. He asked me to watch for suspicious activity. You are suspicious. They showed test papers and computer logs that they claimed proved Gina had stolen answers. Gina looked at the evidence carefully. Then she smiled. This isn't my handwriting, she said, pointing to one paper. And these computer logs have been changed. Look at the timestamps. She explained how the evidence had been faked. As she spoke, she noticed something. It was Daehyun who looked nervous now, not her. In fact, she said, these logs show that someone used Daehyun's ID to access test answers last month. She hadn't planned to expose him, but he had attacked first. The teachers looked at the evidence again. After some quiet talking, they dismissed the cheating claims against Gina. They asked Daehyun to stay for more questions. As Gina left, Sung whispered to her, this isn't over. My father will hear about you. That night, Gina sent an urgent message on her hidden device. Cover at risk. Too many eyes watching now. Request extraction parameters. She waited, heart pounding. The answer came back quickly, but it wasn't what she expected. Extraction denied. Mission parameters expanded. Locate subject Helios. Gina read the message twice, confused. Who or what was subject Helios? This wasn't part of her mission. She had come to find information about the human experiments, not to look for someone. She deleted the message and hid her device. Outside her window, a small drone hovered, watching. Someone powerful was interested in her now. And she had a new mission she didn't understand. As she fell asleep, Gina wondered if Minji's offer of friendship might be worth the risk after all. She was starting to need allies in this dangerous game. Midterm exam week arrived at Celestial Academy. The halls were quiet as students stayed in their rooms to study. Some cried from stress. Others took pills to stay awake for days. Did you hear about Toma? Nari whispered one night. He failed his midterms last year and just disappeared. His family says he never came home. Gina looked up from her book. What do you mean, disappeared? Nari shrugged. The school said he left on his own, but his things were still in his room. This new information troubled Gina. While other students worried about grades, she worried about finding subject Helios. She had searched student records secretly but found nothing with that name. The hardest midterm was in advanced xenobiology with Professor Yuna. The test was a practical exam working with live alien specimens. 20 students entered the lab. Inside were glass cases containing plants and small creatures from different planets. Some glowed. Others moved in strange ways. Today you will extract DNA from 5 specimens, Professor Yuna explained. These life forms are delicate, and some are dangerous. Follow safety rules exactly. Each student put on a protective suit and mask. Gina worked carefully, watching others from the corner of her eye. She noticed Minji at the station next to hers, hands shaking slightly. You okay? Gina whispered. Just nervous, Minji said. I can't fail this. Halfway through the exam, Gina was finishing her 3rd specimen when she heard a hissing sound. She looked up. The air vent near the ceiling was releasing a purple mist. Gas leak, someone shouted. The room erupted in panic. Everyone out, Professor Yume yelled, running for the door. But the door didn't open. The emergency system had locked it automatically. The purple gas filled the room quickly. Students banged on the door and windows. Some fell to the floor, coughing. Gina knew the gas. It was spores from the Noxian plant, very toxic to most species. She looked around for something to help. In the corner, she saw equipment for a containment field generator. It wasn't assembled yet, just parts in a box. Without thinking, she ran to the box and began connecting pieces. Her fingers moved with practiced speed, putting together a machine she shouldn't know how to build. "What are you doing?" Minji asked, covering her mouth. "Help me," Gina said, still working. "Connect the blue wire to the silver port." Together, they built the device in minutes. Gina activated it, and a blue energy field spread across the room. The purple gas was pushed back, collected, and contained. The emergency door unlocked. Medical teams rushed in. Students were taken to the health center. Gina started to follow, but Professor Yuna stopped her. "That was impressive, Miss Kim," she said quietly. "But troubling. The way you built that containment field. That's classified military technology. Not something a student should know." Gina made her face look confused. "I just followed the assembly guide in the emergency manual." "There is no such guide," Professor Yuna said. Her eyes were sharp and suspicious. That night, when everyone else slept, Gina snuck out of her room. She hacked into the Academy's security system using code she had memorized long ago. The security footage from the lab showed the truth. The gas hadn't leaked by accident. Someone had released it on purpose. The camera showed a gloved hand opening the vent just before the gas came out. Gina searched deeper in the system files, looking for anything about Subject Helios. Finally, she found a small file, heavily encrypted. It took her an hour to open it. Inside was one line of text. Subject Helios, human Andori hybrid. Current status, active monitoring. Student body. Gina's heart raced. Subject Helios was here, in the Academy. A hybrid, half human, half Andori. The Andori were an ancient, nearly extinct alien race known for their mental powers. Someone was testing her. And now she knew she wasn't the only one hiding in plain sight at the Academy. For the next week, Gina watched her fellow students carefully. One of them was Subject Helios, half human, half Andori. But which one? She made a list of students who could be the hybrid. There was Jai, a quiet boy who always wore gloves. There was Taeho, who got perfect scores but never spoke in class. And there was Chunho, a plain-looking boy who nobody seemed to notice or remember. Gina needed to test them somehow. The Andori were known for their quick reactions to certain sounds and lights. She planned 3 small tests. In the lunchroom, she sat near Julian and dropped her tray. The loud crash made everyone jump, but Jay's reaction was normal. In the library, she studied near Taeho. When he wasn't looking, she turned on a small light that flashed at a special frequency. Andori eyes would react differently to this light, but Taeho showed no unusual response. The 3rd test was for Shono. Gina had noticed him sitting alone every day reading. No one talked to him. It was like he was invisible on purpose, just like she had tried to be. Professor Tai announced a field trip to ancient alien ruins on a nearby moon. "You will work in pairs," he said, assigning partners. Gina was paired with Shono. The next day, 50 students boarded a ship to the ruins. Gina sat next to Juno, who looked nervous. "I'm Gina," she said. "I don't think we've talked before." "People don't usually notice me," Junho said quietly. "I like it that way." Something in his voice made Gina think he was hiding something too. At the ruins, pairs of students spread out to study different areas. Gina and Juno were sent to a section with tall stone columns covered in strange writing. "We should check inside that doorway," Gina said, pointing to a dark opening. As they walked toward it, she purposely brushed against Junho's arm. She felt him tense up instantly. Inside the ruin, the air was cold and still. Their lights showed walls covered with more alien writing. Gina pretended to trip on a stone. Junho caught her arm with surprising speed and strength. "Thanks," she said. "Good reflexes." "Just lucky," he mumbled, letting go quickly. As they moved deeper into the ruins, a low rumble shook the ground. Small rocks fell from the ceiling. "Earthquake," Gina said. "We should." Before she could finish, a wall slid open. From the dark hole came three creatures, tall, insect-like aliens with sharp claws. They weren't supposed to be here. These ruins were supposed to be empty. "Run," Junho shouted. But the aliens blocked the exit. One leaped toward Gina, claws extended. Without thinking, she moved with the same fighting skill she had shown against Daeyun. She dodged the attack and kicked the alien back. The second alien jumped at Junho. To Gina's surprise, he moved even faster than she had. His hands glowed slightly as he pushed the alien away with incredible strength. The third alien charged. Gina and Junho stood back to back, ready to fight. In that moment, they both knew neither was an ordinary student. Working together, they fought off the aliens, using abilities no normal humans would have. When it was over, they stood facing each other, breathing hard. "Who are you?" they both asked at the same time. Before either could answer, a bright light shone at the entrance. Commander Jai stood there with security guards, watching them. "Mr. Junho, please come with us immediately," she said. "For your safety." Guards surrounded Junho and led him away quickly. He looked back at Gina, his eyes full of questions. "Miss Kim, you will remain for questioning," Commander Ji said. Her face was hard. "I think it's time we had a serious talk about who you really are." Gina stood alone in the ruins, her cover falling apart. But now she knew. Junho was Subject Helios, and the Academy wanted him very badly. Gina sat in a small gray room. There was only one table and 2 chairs. She had been waiting for an hour. The door finally opened, and Commander Ji walked in. "Let's not waste time," Commander Ji said, sitting down. "Your fighting skills are military level. Your knowledge of classified technology is suspicious. Your test scores are too perfect." She leaned forward. "Who sent you here?" "No one sent me," Gina said calmly. "I applied and was accepted." Commander Ji laughed. "Your application appeared in our system 3 days before school started. No interview, no background check, just perfect test scores from nowhere." Gina stayed quiet. "We checked Earth records," Commander Ji continued. "There is no Gina Kim matching your age and description. You don't exist." For 2 more hours, Commander Ji asked questions. Gina gave simple answers that revealed nothing. Finally, Commander Ji stood up. "You're free to go for now, but don't try to leave the Academy. We're watching you." Back in her room, Gina found Nari packing her things. "What are you doing?" Gina asked. "Moving to a different room," Nari said, not looking at Gina. "My parents don't want me rooming with someone under investigation." When Nari left, Gina checked her hidden device. It had been moved slightly. She turned it on, but it showed only static. Someone had damaged it. Her connection to her mission handlers was broken. The next day, classes continued as normal, but students avoided Gina. Even teachers watched her with suspicious eyes. Only Minji still sat with her at lunch. "Everyone's talking about what happened at the ruins," Minji said. "They say you fought off alien monsters. They say Junho did too." "Where is Junho now?" Gina asked. "No one knows. He hasn't been in class." After lunch, Professor Tai asked Gina to stay after his quantum engineering class. "Miss Kim," he said when they were alone, "you are in great danger." Gina watched him carefully. "What do you mean?" Professor Ta looked around and spoke very quietly. "I know you are not who you claim to be, but neither am I." He rolled up his sleeve, showing a small mark on his arm, a circle with 3 lines. Gina recognized it immediately. "You're with the human resistance," she whispered. It was the same group that had sent her. Professor Ta nodded. For 30 years I've worked here, watching, gathering information. But time is running out. He explained that the academy was not just a school. It was a testing ground for weapons, both technology and living weapons. Chunho is their most valuable creation, he said. A perfect mix of human adaptability and Andori mental powers. But he doesn't know what he is. They erased his memory, gave him a fake past. Why tell me this? Jinnah asked. Because they're going to take him soon. They'd been waiting for his powers to fully develop. Your presence has made them move faster. Take him where? To the deep labs beneath the academy, where they'll extract what makes him special and use it to make their soldiers stronger. It will kill them. Jinnah felt cold inside. Her mission had been to find proof of human experimentation. Now she had found something worse. There's more, Professor Ta said. The security chief knows what you are, a human resistance operative. They're preparing to arrest you tonight. As Jinnah left the classroom, her mind raced. She needed to find Chunho. But how? The academy was huge, with many secret areas. Then she remembered something. The weird feeling she had when she touched Chunho's arm. A connection. Maybe she could use that. That night, alone in her room, Jinnah sat on the floor and closed her eyes. She focused on the memory of Chunho, trying to sense where he might be. After an hour of nothing, she felt a faint pull downward. Below the academy. Deep underground. She opened her eyes. She knew where he was. Now she needed to rescue him and somehow escape the trap that was closing around her. Jinnah knew she had only hours before security came for her. She grabbed her few important things and slipped out of her room. The hallways were dark and quiet. Most students were asleep. She needed help. There was only one person she might trust now. Jinnah knocked softly on Minji's door. After a moment, Minji opened it, looking sleepy. Jinnah, what's wrong? I need your help, Jinnah whispered. Can I come in? Inside, Jinnah checked the room for listening devices. Finding none, she took a deep breath. I have to tell you the truth. I'm not a regular student. I was sent here by the human resistance to find proof of experiments on humans. Minji didn't look surprised. I know. You know. Jinnah stared at her. Minji smiled sadly. My father is General Park of the Resistance. I was sent to watch you, to help if needed. Jinnah couldn't believe it. Why didn't you tell me? Same reason you didn't tell me. Safety. Minji opened a hidden panel in her desk and took out a small gun. Now, what's happening? Jinnah explained about Chunho and the academy's plans for him. We need to rescue him tonight, before they catch me too. Minji nodded. The deep labs are hard to enter. I've been mapping the academy for months. There's a service tunnel that might get us close. Together, they moved through the dark halls, avoiding security cameras. Minji led them to a small door behind the kitchen that opened to reveal a narrow tunnel. The air was hot and smelled like machine oil. This way, Minji whispered, turning on a small light. They walked for 20 minutes, going down many stairs. Finally, they reached a metal door. Through a small window, they could see a white hallway with guards. How do we get past them? Jinnah asked. Minji handed her the gun. This doesn't kill. It just makes people sleep for an hour. They waited until the guards walked to the far end of the hall, then slipped through the door. Jinnah moved silently behind the first guard and used Minji's gun. He fell without a sound. Minji did the same to the second guard. They tried many doors along the hallway. Most were locked labs full of strange equipment. Then, Jinnah felt it. The same pull she had sensed earlier. Chunho was close. The last door required a special card to open. Jinnah took a card from one of the sleeping guards. The door slid open to reveal a large room with a bed in the center. Chunho lay there, connected to machines that beeped and flashed. Chunho, Jinnah said, touching his arm. His eyes opened. When he saw Jinnah, he tried to move, but straps held him down. You came, he said weakly. I knew you would. As Gina and Minji freed him from the straps, Junho looked confused. "Why are you helping me? Who are you really?" "I'm with the human resistance," Gina said, helping him sit up. "I was sent to find proof of human experiments here." "Human resistance?" Junho looked lost. "What's that?" "Humans are treated badly in the galaxy," Gina explained quickly. "We're seen as weak, useful only as servants or test subjects. The resistance fights for human rights." Junho shook his head. "But I'm not fully human. I heard the doctors talking. I'm something else too." "You're half Andori," Gina said gently. "But that doesn't matter. They're going to hurt you. We need to leave now." As they helped Junho stand, he looked at Gina with sad eyes. "My whole life is a lie, isn't it? My memories of growing up, my family, none of it's real." "I'm sorry," Gina said, "but you're real. What you choose to do now is real." Suddenly, alarms began to sound throughout the facility. Red lights flashed in the hallway. "They know we're here," Minji said, checking her small computer. "All exits are locking down." Junho stood straighter, his eyes now clear and determined. "I know another way out. I've been having dreams, memories, maybe, of other parts of this place. Follow me." As they ran from the room, Gina realized their small group was now the most wanted target in the academy. 3 students against the most powerful school in the galaxy. But for the first time since arriving, she didn't feel alone. Alarms blared as Gina, Minji, and Junho ran through the white hallways of the underground lab. Red lights flashed everywhere. Behind them, they heard the shouts of security guards. "This way," Junho said, turning down a narrow side passage. "I remember this from my dreams." They followed him through a maze of corridors. Junho moved with confidence, as if following a map in his head. "The final exams," Gina said suddenly as they ran. "They start tomorrow. All students will be in one place." "Why does that matter?" Minji asked. "We need to tell everyone the truth about this place," Gina said. "Show them what's really happening here." Junho stopped at a small door marked Maintenance. Inside was a tiny room with computer panels covering one wall. "This controls the Academy's information system," he said. "I saw it in my mind. We can send a message to everyone from here." Minji looked at him with wonder. "How do you know these things?" "The Andori were known for mental abilities," Gina explained, "including seeing things they shouldn't know." While Junho and Minji worked on the computer, Gina stood guard at the door. She could hear security teams searching nearby. "We're in," Minji said after several minutes. "We can access all student tablets and screens in the academy." "We need proof," Gina said. "Can you get the files about the human experiments?" Minji's fingers moved quickly over the keyboard. "Got them. And more. There are files about experiments on other species too. And files about Junho." Junho looked at the screen, his face pale. "My whole life is in these files. How they made me. How they changed my memories." His hands shook. "There are others like me too. Dozens of them." "Send it all," Gina said. "Every student, every teacher needs to see this." With a final command, Minji sent the files. Throughout the academy, every screen lit up with secret documents, images of labs, and proof of the horrible experiments. "Now we need to get out of here," Gina said. "Is there a way to the surface?" Junho pointed to a hatch in the ceiling. "Emergency exit. It leads to the east garden." They climbed through the hatch into a narrow tunnel that sloped upward. After crawling for several minutes, they pushed open another hatch and emerged into the night air, surrounded by the Academy's famous blue flowers. The Academy was in chaos. Students were running everywhere. Some were angry, shouting and breaking things. Others looked scared, trying to call their families. Academy security forces were trying to control the situation, but they were outnumbered. "Look," Minji pointed to the sky. "Ships are coming." Large black ships were descending toward the academy. They had the symbol of the Galactic Confederation on their sides. "They're coming to cover this up," Jinna said. "We need to get off this planet now." "The student ships," Junho suggested, "in the North Landing Bay. Some are always ready for training flights." As they ran toward the landing bay, they were surprised to find they weren't alone. Other students were running with them, many looking angry or frightened. "Are you the ones who sent the files?" asked a green-skinned student Gina recognized from her quantum class. Gina nodded. "Then we're with you," the student said. "A lot of us are. We didn't know what this place really was." By the time they reached the landing bay, they had a group of 30 students from different species. Some were humans who had suffered from the Academy's secret tests. Others were from species that had been treated poorly by the Confederation. Inside the bay, they found Professor Ta waiting beside a large research ship. "Quickly," he called to them. "This ship has the research data already loaded. It's the evidence we need." As they rushed toward the ship, security forces burst into the bay, led by Commander Jia. She held a large weapon pointed at them. "Stop right there," she ordered. "This is a Confederation matter now." Professor Ta stepped forward. "These children have done nothing wrong. Let them go." Commander Ji's face showed no emotion. "Step aside, Professor." "No," he said simply, and moved to block her aim. The sound of her weapon firing echoed through the bay. The sound of Commander Ji's weapon echoed through the landing bay. Professor Ta fell to the ground. Students screamed, but then something strange happened. Junho stepped forward, his hands raised. The energy blast from Commander Ji's weapon stopped in midair, frozen like a bright red star. Junho's eyes glowed with a blue light. "Enough," he said, his voice deeper than before. "No more hurting people." With a gesture, he sent the energy blast into the ceiling. Then he pushed the air with his hands, and Commander Ji and her guards flew backward across the room. "Everyone on the ship now," Jinna shouted. The students rushed onto the research vessel. Minji ran to the controls while Junho and Gina carried Professor Tae's body inside. The professor was still breathing, but barely. "I'm sorry," he whispered to Gina. "I should have told you everything sooner." "Told me what?" Gina asked, holding his hand. "Check the ship's data files. About Project Mirror." His eyes closed. As Minji started the ship's engines, more security forces entered the landing bay. They fired at the ship, but Junho stood at the open door, stopping their blasts with his mind. The ship rose into the air. The bay doors were closed, but Junho raised his hands again. The huge metal doors bent and tore open. Their ship flew through the opening into the night sky. "Confederation ships approaching," Minji called from the pilot's seat. "They're trying to block us." Gina jumped into the co-pilot's chair. "I'll try to contact the resistance. They can help us." As the ship raced away from the academy, Gina found the data files Professor Tai had mentioned. She opened the one marked Project Mirror. What she read made her hands shake. Project Mirror wasn't just about Junho or the other experiments. It was about her. According to the files, Gina was not born naturally. She was created by the human resistance, using technology stolen from the Confederation. She was the first successful enhanced human operative they had made. Her memories of a normal childhood were fake, just like Junho's. She had been born in a lab, trained from the beginning to be a perfect spy. Her fighting skills, her intelligence, her ability to learn quickly, all were designed. "Gina." Junho stood behind her, looking at the screen. "What is it?" "Unlike you," she whispered. "Made, not born. No experiment." Junho sat beside her. "Does it change who you are now?" Gina thought about this. "No," she said finally. "I still believe in what I'm fighting for." A light flashed on the control panel. "Message from the Resistance," Minji called. "They're sending ships to meet us." On the screens, they could see news spreading across the galaxy. The files they had sent were being shown everywhere. Students from the academy were giving interviews, telling what they had seen. Many planets were calling for investigations into the Confederation's treatment of lesser species like humans. 3 days later, their ship docked with a resistance fleet hidden near the edge of the galaxy. Leaders from several alien species met them as they stepped off the ship. "The evidence you brought has changed everything," said General Park, Minji's father. "More ships join us every day. Even some Confederation officials are supporting our cause now." Gina and Juno stood together, looking out at the stars through a huge window. Both of them still struggled with the truth about their origins. "What will you do now?" Juno asked Gina. "Keep fighting," she said. "The Academy was just one place. There are more like it." Later that day, Gina stood before the Resistance Council. Leaders from many planets watched her, including several alien species who had joined after seeing the Academy files. Gina took a deep breath and began to speak. "For too long, humans have been the quiet, unnoticed species in the galaxy," she said. "We have been used, tested on, and treated as less than others. But they forgot one important thing about us. We never stay quiet for long." She looked around the room, at the faces of those who now believed in the same cause. "I may not have been born like most humans," she continued, "but I know what it means to be human. It means we fight for what's right. It means we stand together. And it means we will be noticed." The room filled with cheers as Gina finished speaking. The quiet, unnoticed girl from the Academy was now the voice that the whole galaxy would hear.